Hello and welcome to Political Theatre. I am Vishal Dahiya, and this has been a very interesting day since morning when the newly elected members of Legislative Assembly in Karnataka started taking their oath in the Assembly. And finally, at 4 p.m., we saw how the two-day-old BJP government led by Chief Minister B S Yeddyurappa had to resign, had to bow out of the power. Clearly, there are several developments which are happening right now, and let's take a look at what exactly transpired in the day-to-day till the time Yeddyurappa decided to put in his papers.
In a dramatic turn of events, B S Yeddyurappa announced his resignation as Chief Minister of Karnataka just moments ahead of the floor test and 2 days after he took oath as the 23rd Chief Minister of the state. In an emotional speech, Yeddyurappa said that it was no less than an Agni Pariksha for him and he refuses to bow down. He said that he will not face confidence vote.
ಈ ನಾಡಿನ 6.5 ಕೋಟಿ ಜನರಿಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ನಂಬಿಕೆ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸಕ್ಕೆ ಧಕ್ಕೆ ಬರದ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೀತಾನೆ ಬದುಕಿನ ಕೊನೆ ಉಸಿರವರೆಗೂ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸೇವೆಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಇನ್ನು ನನ್ನ ಕೈಕಾಲು ಗಟ್ಟಿ ಇದೆ. ಇನ್ನು 10 ವರ್ಷ ಕಾಲ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಉದ್ದಗಲಕ್ಕೆ ಓಡಾಟ ಮಾಡಿ ಈ ರಾಜ್ಯವನ್ನು ಮಾದರಿ ರಾಜ್ಯವನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಸಹಕಾರ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಸನ್ಮಾನ್ಯ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರೇ, ನಮಗೆ ಈ ಅವಕಾಶ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ವಂದಿಸಿ ನಾನು ಇದನ್ನು ಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನೇರ ರಾಜ್ಯಪಾಲರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ, ಧನ್ಯವಾದ.
In his resignation speech, he thanked the people for their support and said that people have rejected Congress and JDS by giving them lesser seats than BJP. He promised to win all 28 seats for the BJP in 2019 general elections. After his speech, he left for Raj Bhavan to hand over his resignation to Governor Vajubhai Vala. Yeddyurappa's resignation spelled victory for the Congress-JDS camp, who are now set to stake claim again to form the government led by H.D. Kumaraswamy.
They disrespect the mandate of the people of Karnataka. They disrespect the mandate of the people of Goa. They disrespect the mandate of the people of Manipur, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. And I'm very proud to say that they have been shown that in India, power is not everything. In India, money is not everything. In India, corruption is not everything. In India, the will of the people is everything.
So it's a victory of democracy. It's a victory of Constitution of India. It's a victory of rule of law.
We are waiting for invitation from Governor House.
जुगाड़ से जनादेश को पराजित करके अगर कोई बहुत खुश हो रहा है और विशेष तौर से कांग्रेस पार्टी खुश हो रही है तो उससे उनको खुश होने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. सितारों के आगे जहां और भी है, अभी वक्त के इम्तहान और भी हैं. ये जो अभी क्षणिक तौर से हुआ है, हो सकता है कि कांग्रेस पार्टी का एडवांटेज हो, लेकिन कर्नाटक का लॉस है.
BJP had won 104 seats in the Karnataka Assembly polls and was 8 short of the majority mark of 111. The JDS Kumaraswamy alliance has claimed support of 117 MLAs in the 224-member House with an effective strength of 221.
So quite a change of fortunes out there in Karnataka for both parties, specifically the BJP and the Congress-JDS combined. We've been bringing you the details, minute-to-minute details rather, of what exactly has been happening on the ground, and we'll take you to our reporters as well and to two of our panelists who are here in the studio. But let's take a look first on what can happen now in Karnataka. What are the options in the future scenario? Yeddyurappa skipping the floor test. So what exactly are the choices now for the Karnataka governor? After Yeddyurappa has resigned, what exactly governor can go ahead and do? That's one. Second is, given its intense efforts to form a government, how will the BJP react next? And specifically to that claim which Congress and JDS are now making of forming the next government, and they will also have to prove their majority on the floor of the House. And the Congress giving up the Chief Minister's post. What exactly is in store as far as JDS, Congress combined is concerned? How stable can this government be? We have seen how JDS has partnered with both Congress and BJP in the past. So how exactly will this experiment turn out this time around. All our viewers can send their responses at our Twitter handle and at our Facebook page as well. Meanwhile, I have with me two senior journalists in the studio. Let me introduce them to you, starting with Ms. Nistula, the political editor of The Hindu, and we have with us Shekhar, Iyer, political editor of Deccan Herald. Let's begin with you, Nistula, and let's begin with trying to understand what exactly went wrong with the BSY.
Well, if you look at the mandate, the way it has come, the idea with the BJP was that they would speak to Mr. Kumaraswamy, or they had already spoken to him or reached out to him. But at that time, the result hadn't come out. They had spoken to him prior to the result, and the understanding was that the BJP will not be touching 100. And at that time, 30 or 40 seats of Mr. Kumaraswamy, it would be more or less equitable, it would be a junior partner, but the BJP wouldn't be so dominating in terms of numbers. Now, when the result came out, and the night before that, Mr. Ghulam Nabi Azad spoke to Mr. Devegowda and Mr. Kumaraswamy, saying that we are ready to offer you the Chief Minister's position. I think that changed a lot for Mr. Yeddyurappa's own prospects of becoming Chief Minister. Then if you look at the way the numbers panned out, there are only two independent candidates. Both of them were Congress rebels. So therefore, there was the political management of the Congress kicked in, and they were brought back into the fold, that they would be supporting the Congress. So where does that leave Mr. Yeddyurappa with 104 MLAs? He will have to engineer defections, abstentions, and basically buy his way to a majority. He has appealed for a conscience vote, but let's all live in the real world here. So would a government formed in that situation bring you any glory? All right. So things were still all right when the governor called him and gave him 15 days to do so. Of course, it was an untenable situation where you are going hunting for MLAs to support you. Then the Supreme Court steps in and says, have the floor test within a day. And that's when, I think on Friday night, I think that the decision was taken that if you cannot get the numbers, if you're not assured of them, just go and quit. You decide whether you want to face the only choice that was given to Mr. Yeddyurappa by the party high command was you either quit before or after the trust vote.
So you're saying that the shortage of time as well as the way the numbers were placed in the assembly is what sealed Yeddyurappa's fate. Let me bring in Shekhar. Shekhar, what has happened has happened. It looks like, you know, for Yeddyurappa, all those chances and all those options of, as Nistula was pointing out, trying to garner support in one way or the other, that's all done now. He's put in his papers. But is everything over for him and his party in Karnataka?
Well, politics, nothing gets over. In fact, right now, there is a WhatsApp message doing. Today is the grand wedding of the Prince Harris with Megha. So the question is being asked is, which marriage will outlast, whether it's Congress JDS or Prince Harris and the new princess?
Exactly the same question which I asked my viewers as well.
I mean, we all wish the new royal couple all the best. But I think that only highlights the kind of new wedding or alliance or whatever you call it that has come to shape in Karnataka. And I think now the test begins, because now the question is, we are already getting to hear from the Congress leaders, now there is no hurry, it's not the issue who is Chief Minister, who is Deputy Chief Minister, who gets what portfolios, those are not issues. So already you can see that, because who is Chief Minister, who is Deputy Chief Minister, well, they have already declared H.D. Kumaraswamy as Chief Minister, but there is a lot of churning going on within the Congress as well as within the Devegowda family. So how those are going to play out, because, okay, perhaps since having assured Kumaraswamy as the Chief Ministership, they would go and install a government. But in times to come, this is a very, very difficult kind of alliance for a simple reason. See, after all, Congress has been voted out in 142 assembly constituencies. Because JDS had fought on an anti-Congress mandate, BJP fought on an anti-Congress mandate. But JDS being JDS, so immediately, accepted this trophy. But I believe within the Devegowda family, it's very important. You have the elder brother, the ambitious H.D. Revanna, and there has been a lot of problems between the Revanna family and the Kumaraswamy family. There is a pressure from the Revanna family on the patriarch, Devegowda. See, he has been Chief Minister once. What about the role for Revanna? So there is a lot of these things. Who
so
gets
the
what?
internal dynamics of both the parties will now play out. But let's step back a little bit, and we can obviously go on and talk about the kind of dynamics which Congress and JDS will have. But if we step back a little bit, what exactly are the options for the governor as of now? What options does he have now that one party, which was the single largest party, he invited that party could not prove its majority, or rather did not go for the floor test. The party's leader, chose to resign first. So what are the options right now?
Now we will have to invite the post-poll coalition, the leader of the post-poll coalition, to come with his list of signatures and support letters, and possibly invite them to form the government. And West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has just now tweeted that she spoke to Mr. Kumaraswamy, who has invited her for his oath-taking ceremony to take place on Monday. So I don't think that Mr. Kumaraswamy is under any confusion as to what his future path is going to be. I expect the governor to invite Mr. Kumaraswamy to form the next.
And can the governor go ahead and ask them to bring, signed certificates of all the
No, that is the normal thing. You have to give a letter saying that these are our people and this is the majority that we command in the House. Especially in a fluid situation like this, where one trust vote was introduced and a resignation took place before it was introduced, the governor would like to make sure that all the, he's dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's.
Mr. Walla would not like to take any chances for the second time around.
Yeah, he has faced a lot of flack in the recent days for giving 15 days to Mr. Yeddyurappa and for inviting him in the first place. So I don't think that he is going to now not go by the book.
Okay, so let's take a bit of an info from our reporters on the ground. Let's begin with Panchanan, who's joining us from Bengaluru. Panchanan, what exactly is happening there on the ground? How is the political situation developing? Is the Congress JDS camp all set for that swearing-in ceremony? Dates being talked about, portfolios being distributed amongst each other?
No, Vishal, not right now, but they are going to stake the claim as the governor will invite this Congress and JDS alliance. And it's now almost clear that the sources are saying that on Monday there will be a swearing-in ceremony. And as we talked to some of the senior Congress leaders, they said that Kumaraswamy is a very much clear name for the chief ministership. It's no doubt about it. But there will be certainly some names for the deputy chief ministers and other portfolios. So we have to see that what the shape this alliance will take place, because there are certainly this alliance is on the power. But certainly there may be some equations between them. So they have to sort it out. But it's looking here that on Monday there may be a oath ceremony, and it's also we are learning that Rahul Gandhi, Congress president, is also coming to here.
Okay, so clearly it looks like both the parties are working on that alliance to work harder and be fruitful as well. We'll come back to you, Panchan. Let me go back to Shekhar. Shekhar, you were pointing out the kind of alliance which we might see between Congress and JDS, the kind of chemistry they share. This is not the first time these two parties are coming together.
No, and this is not the first time.
And the previous stint was also not very successful.
Not successful because at that time Devagowda had insisted on his pick, which was a low-profile Dharam Singh as Chief Minister. But then that is a stage where, Siddaramaiah was then in the JDS. He was the Deputy CM. And tension started building up with the Janata Dal secular, because Devagowda felt that gradually they were undermining his authority by encouraging Siddaramaiah, and some of the MLAs could be taken away and to the Congress. So this fear finally led to that situation.
Okay. Nistula, very interestingly, if you look at this situation and the one described by Shekhar just now, Siddaramaiah, the man who was the man of the movement for the Congress for all these years, and specifically in the past 2 months as well. In the past experience when Congress and JDS formed government, he was Deputy Chief Minister, the smaller party, the party which got smaller role to play. This time around also, he is with a party which has larger numbers but might play a smaller role, will not have the Chief Minister's chair. Will Siddaramaiah have a very important role to play in this coalition this time?
Well, yesterday he was elected the CLP leader at a meeting which took place in the Hyderabad hotel, the Taj Krishna, where the Congress MLAs were hiding out. So it is obviously very clear that he is going to be playing an important role. And he has some personal issues with the Gowda family, and that could also weigh in on the government. But the way I see it, it's the PCC chief, Mr. Parameshwara, whose chances are the brightest of being the deputy chief minister, because the last time round he was in the reckoning as well to be chief minister in 2013, but he lost from his seat of Koratagere. There was a lot of, when I had visited him, I had visited his campaign this time round. There was a lot of angst among his followers that he was made to lose that seat because he was in the race for CM-ship. He also admitted that, you know, it might have been, but I have no proof of
Lost by a
anything.
wafer-thin margin.
No, he didn't lose by a wafer-thin margin, but he said, I spent a lot of time outside the constituency working for the party. Therefore, I lost it. But this time round, Chief Minister has come and he has said that a vote for Parameshwara is a vote for me. And he's also a Dalit. So you have a Vokkaliga Chief Minister and you have a Dalit Deputy Chief Minister. So you have your caste equations also settled there.
Okay.
So why does that leave Mr. Siddaramaiah? He'll be the CLP leader, or he'll be adjusted in some Upa ministry within this thing. Whatever it is, we're in for some very interesting times. We'll have to, I think the Congress and the JDS will have to bring in all their political management skills to the fore to keep this alliance running, at least till the 2019 election.
And do a very tightrope walk. Let's bring in our correspondent from the Congress headquarters, Kriti Mishra, here at this point. Kriti, are you hearing anything from the Congress sources as to who exactly might get to sit on that Deputy Chief Minister's chair now that they've already offered the Chief Ministership to H.D. Kumaraswamy? Are the knives already out and open in the Congress party?
Well, Vishal, there are no specific names that are being discussed right now. It's only jubilation and exuberance for the Congress party, and rightly so after a very long time. Remember, they received a serious drubbing in the Northeast election. So certainly this is a moment for the Congress party to enjoy. But after I was, of course, talking to senior leaders of the Congress party, so now discourse has come to the finer nuances of this coalition government, like the portfolio distribution, who gets to keep what, where will the meaty ministries go. Of course, the Deputy Chief Minister, no names are being discussed right now. But remember, Vishal, in fact, the BJP is already lashing out at the Congress party, saying that this is a unholy alliance and this is a marriage of convenience that may not last for very long. And in fact, Vishal, I was in old Mysuru region covering the Karnataka elections, and in that Vokkaliga heartland, it is the politics of vengeance between the Congress and the JDS. So now these friends turned foes turned friends have to work out on their alliance and have to keep their alliance intact, of course, till the 2019 and for next 5 years. So certainly no names are doing rounds right now, but there is discussion that Rahul Gandhi may attend the swearing-in ceremony of H.D. Kumaraswamy. So lots to unfold, and of course the situation is extremely dynamic, and as and when we get the updates, we shall apprise our viewers about it.
Okay,
Vishal?
great. We'll keep coming back to you, Kriti, on that. Let's also bring in our colleague from BJP office, Akhilesh, what exactly is the mood there in BJP office? What are the strategy the party might be working on right now?
Yeah, Vishal, mood you can understand that they lost and they could not face the vote of confidence. So it is really disappointing for BJP. But BJP is trying to put a strong face. The spokespersons are there and they are talking to media and they are telling that it is our moral victory. We wanted to show and speak on the floor of the house that what we wanted in Karnataka had we got more than 112. So BJP, you know, for BJP is realizing that now daggers are out for 2019 election. And that is why I think Yeddyurappa has resigned from the parliament and now he'll be there in Karnataka to prepare for 2019. So BJP's new task now, they are trying to gear up themselves for 2019 and how to dislodge Congress and JDS alliance morally so that they can go back to the people again and they can tell that this was an unholy alliance. The same JDS whom the Congress was telling that JDS Sanghi, now it has become JDS secular. So these are the things that BJP is trying to create an atmosphere that it is also training their workers then how to go back to Karnataka and create an atmosphere that we had won morally and Congress and JDS has been defeated morally. This is the nuances that I am getting from here.
Okay, Akhilesh, thank you. We'll keep coming back to you as well for more details from the BJP camp. Let me bring in Shekhar here. Shekhar, you know, my colleague spoke about how BJP is saying that this is a moral victory for the Congress JDS. Now, let's talk about the moral victory factor here. You know, it is a hung assembly, and we will see in the days to come how the dynamics of coalition politics will play out as they've always played out. But between Congress and the BJP, who has more claim over the moral victory phrase here?
Well, I think the way the drama has played out, nobody can claim a moral victory. You see, I think the morality has already flown out. So what will be a kind of a tactical posturing. And both the sides have a lot of challenges now because the way Yeddyurappa has spoken and bowed out, the idea seems to be to address their very constituency, which has given a strong backing to the BJP this time, particularly the Lingayat vote across several areas, and the vote that they've got from the coastal areas, from northern Karnataka, where the campaign was very hard-pitched. So there is the whole effort of Yeddyurappa even trying was to send a message to those core voters that we tried, and we could not because we did have the numbers, not because people did not vote for a change. Probably this message could get further amplified as JDS and Congress get down to the actual task of running the government. Now, we spoke of Siddaramaiah, we spoke of Kumaraswamy. I think I would say the man of the match, if one could call it, was D.K. Shivkumar, because he is a strong Vokalinga leader, very influential leader, who has strong connections to some of the very powerful real estate lobbies in that state, who actually kept the flock together. Now, the big question is, what is the reward for the man of the match? So there are a lot of things, because the joke today, soon after they said Yeddyurappa is finished, Siddaramaiah is finished. See, it's the next new leadership that is, well, Paramereshwara being a Dalit leader, tallest Dalit leader, he could perhaps have a chance. But there are leaders like Shiv Kumar, their moves that will be under constant focus.
Okay, that's something which I was about to bring in, which Shekhar pointed out. Is this an end of an era of a particular type of politicians in Karnataka? As Shekhar was pointing out, that the joke is that BSY and Siddaramaiah are done now. It's time for others to take over.
Well, I'm not so sure about Mr. Siddaramaiah, but certainly Mr. Yeddyurappa is 75 years old, and even during the campaign, it was being felt that he may not, even if the BJP gets a simple majority and he becomes the chief minister, the party may not continue him for the entire 5-year tenure. They'll keep him to the 2019 election and then gently ease him out from there and get somebody new to head the government. So age-wise, certainly it looks like it is the end of the thing. But I feel the party, the fact that he's a Lingayat, very strong Lingayat leader, and this Lingayat factor, I mean, did make a dent, which the Congress had started off, but largely the Lingayat-dominated North Karnataka voted with the BJP. So this is, the Lingayat sentiment will be kept very much in mind, and therefore keeping alive Mr. Yeddyurappa's career till at least the 2019 election, that Mr. Kumaraswamy and Mr. Siddaramaiah and Rahul Gandhi and Congress leadership, along with JDS, got together and pulled down what could have been a government of a Lingayat.
Okay.
So that narrative could be highlighted going into 2019. Plus the fact that, since they couldn't form the government, BJP could go around saying that we didn't bribe anybody, we didn't break anybody's party, and we were short, we asked everybody to vote on conscience, and we didn't get enough. But so in 2019, please do reward us electorally.
So both sides will take a shot at having that moral high ground. But coming to the final question, and that is about the big question which would be staring both Congress and JDS as well, as to how to go ahead and give a stable government once their government is sworn in. And Shekhar has already spoken his mind on that. What is your take? How stable can this government be, the Congress-JDS combined?
I think the stability of this government depends on the fear factor. It was the threat of annihilation that brought them both together. It was Mr. Kumaraswamy's ambition and the Congress's fear of annihilation, because they would have actually been reduced to what the Prime Minister called Punjab, Puducherry and Parivar Party. All right. So Karnataka is a big state. It's a prosperous state, and to be governing that is a big deal. To have lost that election is also a big deal. There was a threat of annihilation which made a party like the Congress offer the Chief Minister's chair to a party which had 37 MLAs. So therefore, it all depends on how much of a fear they perceive from the BJP and from Prime Minister Modi of being politically annihilated from the rest of the country. So, and this Congress Mukt Bharat and all of those things that are happening. So this was an important state to retain. And every time that there is some ego clashes, if this threat comes up, then it'll bind this thing
these
together.
two
But
coalition partners
I also
together.
want to say very clearly that all the other regional parties, including Mamata Banerjee and Chandrababu Naidu and Mayawati, whose party won one seat this time in alliance with the JDS, have been terming it a victory of the regional forces.
Okay.
And they are basically saying to the Congress that you are not the preeminent political party of the opposition anymore. You have to accommodate us. You have to give us more. You have to give us our due, because the way we can fight the BJP, you cannot do it.
Okay, so clearly what you're saying is some sort of face saver for the Congress, but not exactly a victory in those terms. And now the challenge for both the Congress and the JDS would be, once their government is sworn in, to ensure that it remains stable and can sustain that opposition onslaught, which will be there in the form of a 104 MLA strong BJP in the state of Karnataka. We'll come back again with a different topic and different guests, and we'll also keep bringing all the developments on Karnataka to you in our other news bulletins and programs. Keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.